All right, cool. Looks like we are live here. All right, so what's going on, Predators? Today we're just going to do a special Sunday show. We're just here with Dean and Chris and I. All of us guys just went on that ram hunt that you saw we posted the video of just a few days ago. And we just wanted to, kind of talk shop, just go and shoot the breeze about, the things we did on the ram hunt, some of the highlights for us, and also talk about Total Archery Challenge. Got a video coming up about that pretty soon. So I just want to talk about these things, just shoot the breeze on here on a Sunday afternoon. And so how are you guys doing today?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm glad we finally got Chris on here. I was just so looking forward to having all three of us on because we've had some just fun fucking experiences. And I think today's going to be a great, just bullshit show, man. I think it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to it too. So, Chris, thanks for coming on, man. I think we're looking forward to this. This can be a good time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, fellas. Looking forward to it too. Got some dino ribs on the Traeger downstairs. Got some good beers going. So just hang out and have a good time.
It's a good Sunday, man. Yeah. Well, so we kind of was shooting the shit. I think just for the audience, I think it'd be fun just to because I think the 6 degrees of separation of how we all met is I think is just a cool story, so maybe that's where we kind of start today is just how we ran across each other and just got to be really good friends and hopefully have fun whacking some stuff and filling the freezer, man. So
yeah, man, I think it's kind of funny because we all met through the same kind of circumstances, and I think the central link here was Dean, the dude's just a chatty Cathy and just like can't stop talking, so, but I remember seeing Dean being about 2 or 3 years ago because, like I said, we all three work in the medical field. And my company leases equipment to Dean's company to kind of do cadaver labs and things like that, and we ended up meeting through that where I come in there a couple times and done some of these labs with them, and we kind of like talked to each other just kind of in periphery a couple times here and there, and wasn't really much. And then I remember one time going out there to the lab in Austin, and I remember seeing Dean was wearing some kind of t-shirt. I don't remember what it was now, but it's something about bow hunting. So we just started talking about bow hunting, and we, chatted it up for a little bit, and then kind of that was about, he said something about going a trip up north and going deer hunting or something. I thought that was really cool. And, but then we didn't talk again for probably almost a year or so.
Yeah.
And then he came to Houston to do one of his labs here where I'm from. And so we met up there at that lab. And like I say, then he told me this was last year before Total Archery Challenge. He goes, "Hey man, you going to Total Archery Challenge?" I was like, man, I can't go all the way to out to Utah. He goes, "No, they're coming to San Antonio." And I was like, "Oh man, like what?" And so that's where I first found out about it. And then we separately booked our times there because we weren't really in touch. I forgot to get your number at that lab there, and so I was like, I have no way of contacting this guy. All I know is his name is Dean, and he lives in Austin and works at where he works. So
yeah.
But anyway, so we ended up catching up out. We saw each other out at Total Archery Challenge, and like I said, I sat and we ate like breakfast or lunch or something like that after I'd done the Leopold course and with you and your boys. And like I say, after that we exchanged numbers, and next thing you know, he's like, "Hey, let's go hunt some pigs."
Yeah.
So
yeah. And so at that same challenge, it was by happen chance that Chris and I were kind of sort of in the same group, I guess, right? And I don't even know how our conversation started, to be honest with you, outside of somehow or another we started talking about medical sales or something. And I'm like, "Man, Walt Lowe?" And Chris is like, "Oh yeah, how do you know him?" And I'm like, "Well, hey, I work with his fellows and blah blah blah." And one thing next led to another, and we knew the same docs. I mean, we work for competitive companies, but who cares? And so that started our whole conversation with Chris. And at some point during that challenge, the Total Archery Challenge, I was telling him about coming out and doing some elk hunting with us. He's like, "I'm game. Let's do it." And my wife was like, "Oh my God, like you're literally going with somebody you just met, like, up in the mountains, like hunting with him." I'm like, yeah, he's a good dude, man. We're gonna have a great time. Like, don't worry about it. And we exchanged numbers, and I think I texted her something and said, "Hey man, here's the dates. If you're truly wanting to go, man, hit me up. Here's where we're gonna leave." And Yeah, that's how Chris and I met, and it's just been a ball ever since. So that being said, I'm gonna punt it to Chris and let him tell his side of the story.
Yeah, that was funny. So I started bow hunting really, or really not even bow hunting. I started shooting not too long before tack. And tack, in my mind, I went there just trying to figure out if I could ethically shoot an animal. And I went up there solo. It was me and my wife, my son. My wife and my son were just wandering around, kind of that little main area, hanging out. And there was a little bit of a stall. There was a bunch of guys kind of teeing off at the same time. So I just turned around. I was like, "Hey, man, you want to shoot with me? Like, I'm going by myself. Like, if not, no big deal." I'm like, "Oh, I got my 2 kids here. Maybe not."
Yeah.
So we went a couple little lanes up, and it was still backed up. And you're like, "Ah, whatever. Yeah, let's shoot together." And it was kind of funny in that same time frame. Met you, figured out you were in the same business as I was. The guy in front of me, or in front of our group, was a good buddy, or the brother of a good buddy of mine. And it's just tack brings all together. It was kind of funny. It's a little bit cheesy, but it was true. It's funny. All 3 of us kind of met doing the same thing. And you put me probably about a year ahead of my like elk hunting journey. I just left the NFL team I was working for and wanted to do this. And I was gonna save up and buy gear over the course of a year. And you're like, "Hey, do you want to go in like 4 months?"
You ready? We're just ripping off the hairy Band-Aid, man. We're just gonna roll with it.
Yeah, so I strategically made some very expensive purchases over the next 4 months, and off we went to Utah. You didn't kill me like my wife thought you were going to.
Yeah.
I didn't kill you like your wife thought I was going to.
And we had a great time. I mean, it literally was just fun. And I remember the first time I went, and had literally no idea what I was doing. I mean, I packed like I was going to be there for 20 days. I mean, it was just insane. And so I wanted to get Chris on to just kind of, what was your first thought, like cruising up? Like, what was your expectation? Your gear wise, like just kind of going into it your first time. I know I was completely lost. I mean, I think I got my scent everywhere. Didn't know how to bugle. I mean, we just meandered randomly and didn't do anything good. At the end of the day, it was just like, we're just trying to figure it out, man. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so new. Last year was a big eye opener. I went with the expectations of really just testing my gear out. If I saw an elk, that's awesome. If we got into elk, even better. If we shot an elk, that's crazy. What are the chances that's going to happen? And as soon as we got there, I was like, "No, I'm shooting elk today." And of course, we didn't see any.
Right. Yeah.
For the people that don't know, that did not happen.
Yeah, that did not happen. We what was the saying? We said we was in the right neighborhood, wrong cul-de-sac. I mean, but I think the weather just kicked our ass. I mean, it is what it is. We couldn't beat the wind, I mean, at the end of the day. But
no, it was crazy swirly. It was super difficult to judge, and I chalk a lot of that up to me being a novice also, but the weather for sure played a part. I mean, snowing at the end of August in Utah, did not expect that. The what was it? I think it thunderstormed, snowed, thunderstormed, and the last day we were there was absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful. Yep. Yeah. On the hike out. That's when it was like, this is awesome.
So were you on or you saw the moose calf? I didn't even see that.
Yeah. Ran right in front of us. It was great.
So were y'all in the Uintas? Or you're all in the Ashley National Forest?
The Uintas. Yeah. We came in up down through Wyoming to was it Hidden Creek, I think, right, Chris? Because what was that?
That sounds
or Hidden Canyon, something like that. I don't want to give away because we're going to go back to the same spot this year, but it was up there, like somewhere, But it's like every time we go, you always learn, kind of something new, what to pack. And I will have to admit that for Chris's first time in, like he was dialed in on his food and how he prepped it all out. So I'm giving him props for that. Like he's got busts out these great snacks, and he's got like, F-bomb and honey stingers, and he's like making this delicious stuff. He's like, dude, what do you got? And I'm like, fucking granola bar, like I'm like, Chris was eating good, man. I'm telling you what, he had it going on.
That was one thing I was freaked out about, and I brought more food than I needed, so I think I'm going to cut back. But every day had calories planned out. I didn't go as far as planning like macros out, because it is what it is when you're out there. Most of that stuff is heavy carb, moderate protein anyway.
Yeah. And what did you shoot? You're trying to shoot for 3,000 a day? Is that what you're saying?
I ended up bringing, because I wasn't sure what I was going to run. So everything I read was in the neighborhood of like 3,500 to 4,500 a day. So most of my days were around 42 to 4,400 calories.
Okay.
I had food left over.
And then did you, just like kind of sort on the same subject, when you got back, did you reweigh yourself? Did you lose weight? Or do you think you're pretty spot on with that count?
I think I lost a little bit of weight. I didn't weigh myself though.
Okay.
And I also didn't do a very good job of logging the food that I didn't eat.
Yeah.
A guessing game again this year.
Yeah.
But I felt good. I didn't bonk. I didn't hit the wall. I wasn't hungry. So I feel like I planned it out pretty well.
And as far as your gear, do you think you're pretty spot on going in? Did you kind of figure out, what, some things you said, I'm not going to take that next time, or I think I should do that, or, what was your thought kind of coming home and unpacking and reflecting on that gear situation?
Well, I wore every piece of clothing that I brought, and I slept in it because it was freezing. So I felt pretty good clothing wise, sleep system wise. I had a quilt. In retrospect, I didn't wrap it up correctly. So I actually wrapped it around my sleeping pad instead of kind of tethering it to my sleeping pad and then wrapping it around me. So I think I left some heat out. So me being cold a couple nights, I think was my fault. So I'm going to try it again. And if I don't like it this year, I'm going to go pick out something else. I've been looking at some of the synthetic bags. The Sitka bag looks interesting, but I really haven't seen very many reviews on it. And then the Kafaru bags, kind of the two big synthetic bags that I found. I don't know what it is about down that kind of freaks me out. Maybe just listen to John Barklow too much. But the guy's smart. He's been through it, so I'm gonna listen to him.
Yeah. And you're gonna try tarp this year too, right? Instead of a tent.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try a bivy tarp combo. It's not a whole lot lighter than that MSR Hubba NX tent that I've got.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit lighter, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know if I'm gonna like the sleeping bag coffin. But OR got some really good reviews on their, I think it's a OR Helium. And then if I decide, inclement weather, if I decide to run that tarp on top of it too, it's a pretty big tarp. It's a Seek Outside. I think it's like the DST something or other. So it'd be nice to have kind of a big open covered area too, I think. Because that MSR is really nice, but it's a little bit cramped, and there's not much of a vestibule to it.
No, I agree. I mean, I think if we ran the same one, and I always looked at the Stone Glacier just to kind of give that a shot. But my only, back of my head, my concern, still would be, if we run in that same weather and it being so cold at night, that would be the only, I don't know, I guess issue maybe with just the tarp that I'd be worried about, because I think I'm only running a 15-degree bag too. So that would be interesting. But
now, I think that the bivy, I mean, it adds it's Pertex. I think it's not Gore-Tex. It's something like that. So I do think that will add a good bit of warmth. Like I'm really wondering if I'm going to be hot in that if we do get some good weather.
Yeah. And you're still going to take a pad too, or no?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Okay. Yeah.
The noisy pad.
Yeah, that was the best. Like every time, and I don't know if we want to ruin the name on here, but every time Chris would move, I couldn't help but start cracking up because it literally was like somebody was popping those package bubbles like every time he'd roll over. It was hysterical.
It is a very well-known, very popular sleeping pad. It's very comfortable, but it is extremely loud.
See, I can't wait for my chance to get out there and fail with the gear, man. Like I say, I was trying to go last year too, and my brother, who's not a hunter at all, but he's a big fan of like the Joe Rogan podcast, and he wants to get some elk meat, and he's like, "Tell you what, I'll split the price of the tag with you. I'll go hiking all the way out there with you. I'll do whatever we need to do to get the thing down on the ground." And he goes, "Then I'll help you pack it out as long as you split the meat with me." I was like, "Deal, dude. 50-50 everything.
Great deal,
50-50 of the work, 50-50 of the price. Like, hell yeah, man. I'll do that all day, And then, like I say, the way things were turning last year, they're threatening all these lockdowns again and stuff. I was like, with, a family of 6 here in this house, it's like I got to watch and I got to make sure that I got plenty of money to go around until that goes on. So I was like, okay, well, I'll do it next year. And then this year, here we are. And I'm just like swamped at work. But I was like, okay, now this is what it is. I was like, next year, I'm definitely doing it, man. So I'm going to learn from all y'all's mistakes. I'm going to take this gear list. I'm going to make sure. Now when I talk to Chris, I know which sleeping pad not to buy. So.
Not to buy. Yeah. And then I'm
popping popcorn. Yeah.
I am totally cannibalizing his food breakdown too, because that was just brilliant. I took all the peak fuels up there. I love all their. You just can't, in my opinion, you can't find a bad peak meal, man. I love every single one of them. But what I didn't realize is that it was 2 servings per bag, and so that was 90% of my weight was just all that food. So I think this year breaking it in half, and really having 2 separate meals, over the week instead of just, trying to scarf down, 2 servings in one sitting. But I did also come back and lost weight. So it still was to my benefit the way I did it. But just from a weight standpoint, I think I'm gonna approach that a little different this year. The other thing that I was highly jealous of also was his Crocs coming in and having Crocs. It was like, yeah, it being so cold, I couldn't really take my boots off and just meander around in my socks. And so he threw them Crocs on. I'm like, God, why would you pack those things in? Well, about day 4, I'm like, those things look awesome. Like, I wish I had some Crocs on right now.
I love those boots that I had, but man, those Crocs are comfy.
Yeah, they look
great.
Can't argue.
Right? I mean, that's a pretty big item. They're not very heavy,
right?
But they're a little bulky, and they look ridiculous. But my God, they're comfortable out.
Yeah, it was.
Facts are facts, man.
Yeah, well, it's all those things that when they say it's one of those comfort things. You're like, I'm okay with carrying that weight. I don't even care. Like that, I'm going to be comfortable at night, and it is what it is. So,
I just have to shout out real quick, guys. We got in the chat we had the privileged bow hunter, a guy named Andre. He's got a great YouTube channel. We started probably posting regularly about the same time. And he just surpassed me. He went up and he's about right about 3K in subs now. And he's up in the chat here. So what's going on, Andre? Thanks for stopping by, man. It's cool to see other people, joining in the chat and stuff like that. So especially other YouTubers, Yeah.
Well, yeah. And if anybody's listening, it's got questions about some rookies that went up. Definitely fire away. We're happy to help out and let you know what we did or didn't do that was good and or bad.
Speaking about other people coming on the podcast too, again, if you haven't seen it already, I posted up there that, we've got Langy from the Buck Commander coming on tomorrow at 9. And then we have the guys of C&E Custom Outdoors coming on tomorrow at 7 p.m. So check that out, guys. We'll be going live then.
So Chris, we some of the other things I was going to ask you about too is that the Mountain Tough program. I know you just got it, but prior to this year, last year, did you do anything kind of getting ready for it? Like what kind of prep physically, or do you think you're pretty much spot on when you got there, or did you notice some things like, oh shit, like I really got to focus on more hiking or a different pack, or from that standpoint, what do you think you learn?
So my training last year was probably a little bit more geared towards powerlifting. I was doing a Tim DeFranco program, which I love. I've done it a bunch of times, run through it. I think it's an 11 or 12 week program, and it does a really good job. But when we were talking attack, I just said, man, I need someone to make me do cardio. I hate doing cardio. I don't run. I've got an assault bike in my garage. I hate it. Awful. The one thing I will do very willingly is some pack rucks. So I got a 50-pound sandbag. I keep it strapped to my Kafaru frame. I keep it in my garage. And every Saturday and or Sunday, we take the dog for a 3-mile walk. I'll throw it on, look ridiculous walking around my neighborhood in it. But between that and an 80-pound sandbag I've got, I mean, it's a good introduction. Last year I didn't go farther than 3 miles. Never felt really too winded in Utah. I mean, I felt good. I didn't feel like I was dragging behind you guys. But legs and lungs, they're gonna win.
Yeah.
So this year I started doing Mountain Tough. I think it's 6 weeks ago I started their preseason prep. And I mean, it's a butt kicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sports cardio. I'm running a little bit more than I was. On the assault bike more than I was, and then they've got me doing 6-mile, rucks at this point. And it is it's humbling.
Have you done the one where you're doing the I think it's 3 miles and you have to hit 500 lunges with your pack within the 3 miles?
That has not popped up on the
That doesn't look fun either.
That is an ass whooping. Yeah. But we went up this morning and did a hike. It was about 1.6 miles, I think. But there was some elevation change. I mean, as much as you can get, in Austin, the hill country. But it was better than, walking flat on a sidewalk. So you still had the rocks and some downfall, which was kind of nice. So I did that same with the 50 pounds in my back and on my Kafaru frame also. And it was good. Like, I think ultimately my goal before August is to be able to do at least 3, if not 6 with 80 pounds. And so we're going to, I'll be hitting that every weekend also, in addition to the step ups and box jumps and all that stuff we're doing at the gym. But they have, if anybody's out there that wants to do something like that, putting that pack on, and everybody on YouTube is telling you the same thing. I think that ultimately that literally is the best thing for you to get your hips ready, your shoulders ready, your back ready, glutes, all of it. I think it's just great, because I even noticed, about 1.6 in, I could kind of feel my left hip and glute was kind of like, damn, something's going on, man. Like, we got to get in shape now. Just having that weight on there, so that's huge.
It is huge. The hip burn is real. The first couple times you do it, as you're getting used to it, the hip burn is real.
Yeah. And the way you load your pack, when you're telling me kind of put that sandbag a little higher on my meat shelf and strapping it down, that was a huge difference. And so if anybody that is new or beginning, that's kind of looking at packs and frames, my suggestion is to make sure that you properly fit it before you put that weight in there, and understand kind of where you want that meat shelf to rise and how to pack your bag. Like, you really want that weight high, not low. And that will definitely help you. So
it makes a huge difference. The first time I did it, like I was telling you, I had it real low all the way down at the base of my meat shelf. I had the bag on my pack, and it was so uncomfortable. And I was walking like a hunchback. Huge angle, and it was very difficult to get a couple miles in. And then as soon as I raised it up, got it kind of above my hips in the small of my back or the middle of my back, it's much more manageable.
And then you learned too about your different kind of boot wear on that as well, right?
I did. I've been wearing some crispy Colorados, and I like them. They're comfortable, but they're way too stiff for me walking around Pearland, Texas, which is 0% elevation change, entirety of it.
10 feet below sea level.
Yeah, I was beat up. My hips were killing me. My back hurt. My knees hurt. And it really, especially doing the 6-mile ruck, made me question my footwear a little bit. So I actually am in the process of switching boots. I'm going, I think, with a Hanwha Galverstone. I really like those. I tried those out as well as the Zamberlin Baltoros, I think. I'm just getting a little bit of a wider toe box than Crispy offers, and it's made a huge difference. And the 3 flex versus 4 flex is surprisingly drastic.
I was actually going to ask you about that, like that you really could tell the difference in
Yeah, and the 3 flex, I felt like I was walking around in a really, really supportive, like running shoe almost. I mean, as I'm walking around my house, I'm not trying to scuff up these boots, not be able to return them yet. I can actually feel my foot rolling. And in those Colorados, I mean, it's like walking around in a ski boot, and it's great for the purpose. It's a tool with a specific application. If I'm side hilling and in some really nasty territory, those boots are going back on. But if it's something kind of where we were in Utah, where it's pretty manageable, it's steep at times, it's rocky at times, there's deadfall, I think I can handle something with a little bit more flex.
Even with your pack weight, will you be all right?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah,
I think so. They're a go hunt favorite. Brady Miller wears them.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give them a shot.
I've been waiting for the altitudes to come out because I want to try. I'm a Crispy fan. I got the Thors, which is what I wore last year at the elk hunt, and I loved them. I mean, I had zero issue at all. But to your point, they are like a 4 flex. So I'd like to try something, maybe just a more of a, not a tennis shoe, but more towards a trail runner type, and see if that's even more comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get into the boot stuff here because I always started because I started hunting like years ago on kind of champagne dreams and a beer budget, and I remember one of the first pairs of shoes is funny because I bought them from Boots, and they were like a mountaineering style boot that I had bought from Walmart, and I swear to God, to this day, those are still some of the most comfortable boots that I've ever worn in my life. They cost like $60 or $65 or something like that, and they only last me about 2 seasons or whatever. But I mean, those are the boots that I took hiking on with me in the Smoky Mountains out there. We did like 25 miles in 3 days, and I was the only one that didn't end up with blisters all over my feet.
Wow.
But now, once you get into it, it's like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, for a $65 pair of boots, super comfortable, great ankle support and everything, but they only last 2 seasons, right? But now it's like getting into something like where, as we get into the higher end gear and stuff, you're seeing, okay, well, it costs like 2, 3, 4 times as much to get a pair of $250, $300. Chris saw that, hit on his bank account there, or sorry, is your wife in the room? It was like $75.
She's not listening, right?
Yeah. Just type in the chat here how much she told me to say, anyways. But you get in there those expensive boots, but it's something you expect to last you a much longer time. It's like the boots I've been rocking now for I think 3 or 4 seasons now, or years, is the Under Armour boots. I'm trying to get away from the Under Armour stuff a little bit. I think they're kind of honestly getting out of the hunting game too. And I was like, okay, well, time for me to start looking at something different. And yeah, like I say, I definitely want to. There she goes. She said, "Yes, I'm here."
that's my wife doing that. That's funny.
But yeah, so like I say, it's getting into these new boots. So I'm looking into something new, and it's really interesting to hear all these new brands like Zamberlin, and like these things sound like something you hear on Amazon. Like
yeah,
I've never heard of these brand names before. It's like Boot Fit, or something brand. Yes. So if you could, Chris, like I don't know if probably know more about this than I do. Like, do you know anything about the history of these brands like Zamberlin, and I forgot what the other one was already because I've never heard of them before. So
I really don't. I came across Zamberlin and Hanwha and Crispy all through kind of recommendations of people, both, I guess, influencers or whatever on Instagram, and then people I know that are hunters. I think Crispy's got a pretty solid following amongst the Instagram crowd. And then, a guy whose opinion I listen to a lot is Aaron Schneider. I mean, he's not going to throw out anything that's not worthwhile, in my opinion. And the dude walks the walk. I mean, he puts the stuff through the test. And he was a Hanwha guy for a while and then moved over to some Zamberlin. He was kind of having, I think, the same issue I was having is he was looking for a wider toe box. than Crispy offers. I don't have wide feet, but for whatever reason, my little toe just gets rubbed raw in those Crispy sometimes. So I go hunt, you check out some recommendations, and what I came across, I don't, as far as the history of them, I really don't know too much.
I think
that's
all
important info to know too, though, the toe box thing there, because like I say, if I've gotten more into, like I say, a lot more different kinds of lifting shoes and stuff like that, and that's one thing. It's like whenever you have that kind of like the tighter support in the mid and the heel, it kind of keeps you locked into the boot. But having a wider toe box allows you to have more stability, because you can also kind of splay your toes out and you can get a wider base. So if you were like climbing up a 40-degree incline up the side of a hill or something like that, that would actually be a nice thing to have, because you can kind of be a little bit more stable whenever you're making that climb by being able to kind of spread your toes out inside the shoe there, so you don't have as much of that kind of roll and tilt. And like I said, it just makes it more comfortable too. And that's kind of the shoes I buy for the gym, walking around all over the place, doing 2 miles in the airport and stuff like that. But just having that wide toe box is actually like it makes everything just a lot more comfortable too.
I like the fact that, again, I'm a Crispy guy. I've never had anything else, but I like the way that Crispy, you can lock your heel in. To your point, Travis, like coming downhill, you're not sliding forward, and smashing your toes on the front. And I think the other thing that is overlooked sometimes too, especially with the newer hunters, is a sock liner. I don't know if you wore those last year, Chris, or not, but underneath just some merino socks, I'll put a sock liner, and that eliminates a lot of that rubbing and hot spots for you. So, not sitting, but like I said, if you're hiking a lot, it's just something, a little something early you can kind of throw in there to eliminate some of that, those blisters for you.
Was that like a waterproof sock liner?
No, it almost looks like a pair of Ted hose. Actually, they're super thin, and you can put them underneath your normal sock, so it still wicks sweat, but it just acts as a buffer, so you're sliding it in that liner and not your actual wool sock on your boot. Interesting. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And that helped a lot.
So a little bit of a pivot here, guys. So I guess one thing I mentioned as like the title of the video here, talking about our ram hunt, and I think that was a really awesome experience. And, I think it was something that all three of us have never done before. Chris got his first bow kill on that hunt. I think it was a really cool thing to do. And it was a weird experience, the weirdest hunting experience I've ever had, where it's kind of like, hey, I want that one. How much is that one? It was very odd, but it was really fun at the same time. And, you still got to put the spot and stock on. So, why don't you guys, like I say, for me, like I said, it was a really interesting experience, and I wish I'd gotten a little bit more video of the thing out there, because it was pretty cool. But besides, like I said, I don't know if you want to start at the very beginning, Dean, and talk about kind of where you found these guys and where that whole thing started coming together.
I don't even actually remember how I think it was at the Western Hunting Expo, or in Houston. That we were all at.
Texas Trophy Hunting
Extravaganza or something. Yeah. I think I got one of their pamphlets there, which, by the way, back to how we all met, that's how all three of us actually put a name with a face together. So was there. But I think I got their pamphlet there, and I just thought, it's Mason, Texas, close. I'm just going to give him a call one day. The price was right. There he is. And,
all my brochures from there.
Those things come in handy. Yeah, I mean, those things come in handy. I got a ton of them too, but and I mean, they were good guys. I don't know how you all feel about it. I'm not the biggest proponent of high fence hunting, but I think when we kind of talked about going, we just wanted to make sure our gear was dialed in, and before we went to tack. So that was kind of a cool experience. And then, just a fun buddies weekend, obviously. I mean, who doesn't want to do that? But going out and, I think ultimately, looking back on it, you're right. We had a bit of a stock. So from that standpoint, for me, that I don't know. I guess it was an easier pill to swallow, knowing that they weren't in a pen, I guess is kind of my point. And you still had to make an ethical shot. You still had to spot and stock the one you wanted. even though they were there, it kind of sort of still had a good hunt feel to it. But because it was my first ram hunt and it was with you guys, that was the most fun part about the whole thing, really, is just seeing everybody harvest something, all great shots, and that was cool.
So the whole thing was a weird experience too, but it was like it started with the cabin that we had to stay in. I guess we call it the lodge that we had to stay in. So this place was, I let me preface this a little bit. I travel a lot for work. I mean, this is why I hadn't posted many videos lately, is because I've been out and going all the time. And we were out there and basically I usually stay at like Hilton's and Marriott's and stuff like that. And like I said, I gotta admit, I've kind of gotten a little bougie, right? But we show up at the lodge and it's like, hey, as long as you're going out there to hunt, you can stay here for free, essentially, or cheap, or I don't know what it was. But anyway, so we go out there and we walk in this place and they give us a little tour. And we very quickly realized that this place used to be like an old folks' home that they literally converted into a hunting lodge. There's like all these individual rooms, long hallways that kind of center around like the community space where everybody would sit and watch TV, just like, hoping another miserable day doesn't end today. Anyway, so then off of that, there was, a kitchen. It was like a really good sized kitchen and everything but it had industrial stoves and everything. It was just really bizarre in there. And like half of the rooms had just like mattresses thrown on the floor. And I mean, someone looked like maybe somebody passed away in there. I don't know, but it was a really weird experience. That's what place could easily be considered haunted. The doors didn't even lock. So the outside door, I mean, anybody could just walk in there and come spend the night with you.
Yeah,
it was so bizarre.
And I would totally go back. Like, we're not trying to bash this company. It was just, a very funny experience. That's all.
And again, if you don't like the free lodging, you can go pay for a hotel.
Go pay for a hotel. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Which I was tempted to do, but no, that's all part of the experience. It's the whole experience. But anyways, like I said, so after we had that fun night there, and it was actually a really cool experience too, because they have a lot of the animals that you get to go out there and hunt. Like I say, these people that actually manage several very large, I'm probably guessing like 16, 100, 2,000 acre properties around that area. You can go hunting elk year around there. I mean, you can go hunting Aladad. You can go hunt all different kinds of sheep. We got Corsican, Catalina, Black Hawaiian. That's what we ended up with. And so it's a really cool experience that you can't just get every day, and that's kind of the part of it. Is like, yes, you're hunting high fence property. Yes, these are technically like managed animals, like someone still have ear tags and stuff, you know what I mean? But they're not like pets, you know what I mean? It's not like I can go up there and like, just like knife them in the neck while I got a cup of hand, a feet full of hand or a handful of feet, whatever. So it was definitely a really interesting experience. But like you said, you still have to get up there. You still have to make that shot. You still have to be dialed in. And, at the end of the day, you get that adrenaline rush from like, I mean, it was just like you hit that thing and it's down. It was still a rush of adrenaline. It's still exciting, just like it is whenever you shoot a deer from a stand or something like that. So.
Yeah. How was that? And I agree on everything you just said too. I think, one of the biggest things is kind of going through that shot process in your head when they talk about like buck fever and, which is legit. But, calming yourself down and almost, key is kind of, act like you've been there before, trying to, whatever that you got to do to calm yourself down. I know for me personally, when I took that ram and that shot, and even the deer when I was with you, Travis, just kind of going through that whole thing in my head, elbow back, follow through, let the pin float, trust your shot, right? Like all of that is through my head to try to negate the buck fever or the shot anxiety, I guess. So that's a great question for Chris. Like your first one, like was, what was kind of going through your head? Like, how did you shot unbelievably perfect. I mean, you couldn't have gotten a better shot uphill. I can't remember the distance on yours, but
it was like right at like 40, 44 yards, I think, wasn't it?
So kind of what was going through your head, kind of keeping calm and, like I said, just for your first harvest with your bow.
Yeah, it's funny. Bow hunting and shooting a bow is just so much like a golf swing. I used to play a ton of golf, and I would practice with a purpose. It wasn't just driving 7 irons down the range all day. you have to have intentional practice, and you got to switch it up. And since I picked up archery, every shot is stance, knock, set, pre-draw, draw, anchor, aim, execute, and just going through that checklist in your head. Make sure that you're set up for a good ethical shot. You're not having some crazy stance, or you're not closed off or way open. If you make sure that you're in a good position, everything else after that is easy, right? I mean, the best shots feel like they're the easiest shots in the world, and your terrible shots are like the hardest shots to pull off. And you're going back and you're doing one of these things, or what I did on that one hole in attack, and just do one of these guys.
Yeah.
The best thing about that shot, you take an attack, Chris. I was just watching the video back, and I had that 360 GoPro on there, and when you first drew back, you started drawing back, and as soon as you pull on the string, you're like, "Oh crap!" because you forgot to knock an arrow. And so you forgot to knock an arrow, and you still shot better than all of us, Yeah. But anyways, you forgot to knock an arrow. You're like, "Oh crap!" Then you go through the shot, and then you're like, "Oh," So it's like, it's so funny about the, like I say, I've never really played golf, but like I say, having that consistent process that you go through, and I can see your form. You can see that thought process whenever you're making your draw and everything like that. And I think that's really important, because like I say, whenever you skip a step or you get thrown off by the fact that you're so focused on the process, you forgot to put an arrow in there, like I said, but now it's in your head, and now you can see, like, whenever we get in your head, you make those mistakes. And it's like you have to kind of make sure that you're conscious about it, but at the same time not get too focused on any one step. It's a very complicated process. And like I say, if anybody's listening that hasn't done this before, then I say there's something like it's almost like it's like stressful when you first start getting started with it, but then it becomes very peaceful. So the fact that you can like just zone everything out, and you're like, okay, grip, got in the right grip, knock it on there. All right, it's raise, draw, like you say, all those steps, it's like, there's something very peaceful about it. And that's why one of the things I love about it, if I don't have anything to do, or I'm like stressed out, I can just go out there and fire off a few arrows, and just going through that process is just very cathartic, I think.
It becomes meditative. I mean, you get to the point where the whole process is just breathing. It's just inhale during this step, exhale during this step, inhale, exhale, pull, whatever your process is. And then as far as your checklist goes, what's really nice is it crosses it off the list. So, all right, stance, knock, set, pre-draw, draw. You just knock those things off, and then you don't have to draw back and think, oh shit, are my feet right? Am I in a good position? Did I set my shoulder? It's all part of the checklist, and it's almost like check and forget, and just move on to the next thing. And then you get to the end, and all it is aim, pull, aim, pull, aim, pull, aim, pull, pop.
Yeah.
And what I found
I was gonna say, and just even somebody that's starting out, I think it's important too, like anything else, is to have a short-term memory. Like you're gonna have those moments, and I had two of them at TAC where I just and then the arrow was gone, right? And probably wasn't a good idea that I was trying to release right out of the chute too, but it is what it is. Now I know not to do that, right? So, but having
that's what I did last year.
Yeah. So like having short-term memory, right? Like, okay, it's one arrow. It is what it is. Start over. It's just hit the next one and refocus, and go through those steps again, and reel your mind back in. Otherwise, your whole day is shot.
Yeah. And like I said, talk about that process. Yeah. Being able to modify that process on the fly too, because you find yourself in weird situations sometimes. Like when we're on this ram hunt, my first shot was like beautiful. It was just like right through the Boilermaker. It was perfect, right? But he didn't go down right away. And Chris, you had this too, where you hit him, bam, smack, perfect, right where you want to hit him. And then they just like look around like, what the hell was that? You know what I mean? They're hurt, but they can't figure out what's going on. And I like to think that's partially due to the fact that we're using like these razor sharp broadheads. I mean, you can go right through them, and it's kind of like cutting yourself with a knife. You're like, oh my God, something happened, but it didn't actually hurt initially because it's such a clean cut that you're just, you obviously instinctively want to put pressure on this stuff, but it doesn't really hurt until it starts healing or, starts trying to come back together, But anyways, I shot the ram first and went right in the perfect spot. And then I had to take another follow-up shot, but he was kind of in between these rocks and everything. And the best, if I had shot at him at that angle, I was just shooting down at him more, and he was kind of facing me. So I was like, I can't hit this thing right in the the face trying to get to the heart, you know. So what I ended up doing, he was facing directly at us, and so I dropped to my knees, and that was the first time I've ever shot any animal from the knees. In fact, now I think about it, it's like I don't even practice that shot, you know. But trying to change that process, it's like, well, what do you do if, you know, you don't get, okay, well, stance first part, right? You don't get stance, then draw, pre-draw, all this stuff, you know. It's like, what if you have to modify that? But it's just, again, being able to modify that on the fly, still go through the rest of that checklist. It's like, okay, well, let's throw that stance out of there and let's go to the knees, you know, or go sit in a chair, you know. Now we're doing it from a chair. And so being able to modify that process on the fly is also something I found to be pretty important. And like I say, for me, it was like, I don't want to say it was instinctual, because it was me, like just the adrenaline. I didn't even think about it. It just kind of got to the point where I've done that same process so over and over and over. It became kind of an instinctual thing. You know, it's like knuckles, nose, aim, pull, fire, and then, you know, that's kind of the process. But that was really helpful to be able to, like, say, modify it on the fly, because you never know what shot you're going to end up with, you know.
And that's important too. I think I kind of going back to Chris's shot. One of the things that I noticed when he took that shot was not raising his bow. He actually arced his torso back. And I don't know if a lot of people know that, but, you know, you don't pull and then tilt. You want to, you know, have your whole torso to move up and down, where that core strength kind of comes in to keep that triangle for you. And so I thought that was kind of cool that, you know, when Chris took that shot, I remember seeing him kind of arcing back and really using the proper form, I guess, is my point, right? So, you know, just kind of practicing that at home, or however you can do that, you know, at the range is important.
Yeah, I learned with the benefit of YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, it puts a tremendous amount of information out there, and I talked to him at TAC and told him how much I appreciated it, because he taught me how to shoot. That's one of his lessons somewhere. He's talking about TAC shoots and shooting it at elevation. And, you know, essentially do everything the same, draw the same, like you're on flat ground, and then tilt up or tilt down at the waist. And
it's deadly.
Yeah.
And Trail's got a good video on that, the same thing as well, which was is where I learned how to do that. So there's a ton of cool information out there for sure, you know.
And that's what I tell my kids. They're all teenagers now, or most of them are teenagers. And I told them, I was like, dude, you can learn anything on YouTube. Like, I mean, it's almost to the point where you literally can almost do like college grade stuff, like where you don't need a degree. You could just go do it, right? And prove to somebody you can do it. It's like, man, you don't need to go to a 4-year university. You know, it's like, think about all the stuff that you learn in college and think about how much you actually apply that day to day, you know?
Right.
You know,
very little.
Yeah.
I learned how to change my brakes on YouTube. I will never do it again. I did it in college.
The thing I found about doing like my own car work is that, like, then, like, anytime the car makes a little noise after, I'm like, what was that? You know, it's like, did I do that? Oh crap, what did I screw up? You know,
changing brakes in a mountain town.
Yeah. So along with the TAC too, when we went down this year, you know, we actually had a chance for anybody listening that wants to know about RAM. You know, it seems like everybody says, oh, it's terrible or what have you. I thought it was delicious. I don't know what you guys thought, but I literally thought it tasted pretty much like steak. I mean, I
had to ask you a couple times again. So, you know, like I say, we all rented we got an Airbnb for TAC, and they happen to have a pellet smoker there, which was perfect. Yeah, we cooked up the ram, Dean's ram there, because his is the only one that didn't get spoiled, unfortunately. But we cooked that up, and I mean, I had to. Are you sure this is a ram? Are you sure? Look at, man, this just tasted like a steak.
It was great. Yeah, it was really good. Really.
So, if somebody tells you something, somebody tells you that some kind of game doesn't taste good, like, I always recommend tasting it for yourself, because you never know, man. That would have been a huge miss had we not tried that.
Yeah,
I was shocked. Now mine,
I was too.
Initially was pretty smelly because my follow-up shot was a gut shot. It was hard quartering away, gut, liver, lung, straight through the thing. My meat did not smell good.
Yeah. The worst part about that was Chris lost his broadhead.
An iron will, yeah.
Oh, an iron will brought it. That was the worst part of the whole hunt right there.
That was the absolute worst part of the hunt. I almost didn't go along with you guys for Travis's.
Right.
I got the metal detector.
Note to self: take a metal detector, with you next time you go hunting.
It's funny. It's funny too because we always joke about Chris bringing it to like all his different bins and stuff out there when we went for that hunt. He brought like back of the truck was just full of bins and like boxes and all this stuff, And it's funny because I actually have the same system, right? Where for this hunt, I decided to bring just the bare minimum. I was like, okay, I just need my bow, need my broadhead box, and that's pretty much it. Backpack or whatever, and I'm good to go. And I actually have in one of my bins a metal detector where we could have gone out there and we could have found your broadhead too, but I decided not to pack it. So. The lesson is just bring all your shit everywhere you go all the time. So
what we learned about was just in case weighs a lot though, man. So it does, so that's the downside of it. But that was pretty funny. Like 6
for an elk hunt, like dude, no, you got to try to get it bare minimum. But for out and back one day ram hunt, I'm bringing all the bins next time.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to try to outdo Chris on how many bins I can bring.
We survived 10 days out there.
He did. Like he had his MSR burner out there, like food. We're like, dude, we got a kitchen, man. Like,
I didn't know what we were going to come across in that place. I was expecting a Ben Stiller type character to come out and tell me that I pulled landscaping duty any second.
That was fun though, man. That was fun. Anyway, well, good stuff, gentlemen.
So Sarah says, well, I was told it tastes like goat.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't spoil mine.
I know. Yeah. So I had mine in the ice chest, and like I said, I've been traveling like every week to go out of town and everything. And so I bought some ice and I put the bags of ice inside my deep freeze. And I was going to tell the boys, I was like, hey, on Monday, I need you to just drain the water out, throw the bags of ice on there, and it'll be good by the time I get home Friday, And I totally forgot to do that. Well, I got home Friday and the boys are like, man, Dad, something really stinks in the garage. And I knew immediately. I was like, son of a, it's like, I knew exactly what it was. And it was so bad that I emptied that cooler out like 3 weeks ago and I left it open. I bleached the inside of it. I left it open for 3 or 4 days with it open and just like ran water through it. Still smells, man. It's fading. It's fading. But weeks later, that smell is like burned in there. I had to bury the meat into my backyard. It was so bad.
Time to burn the cooler.
I was thinking about that. I was like, I wonder if I just like throw a little bit of gasoline in there and just light it, or just get like the brush burner. Just I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Well, I soaked mine like 3 days. Bled it out and just ice, and then I got all that orange juice and dumped it in there for like 3 days. So I don't know if that citrus and kind of helped burn some of that off. Who knows? But
it does. I've heard orange.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say orange juice, red wine vinegar, and I've heard also milk. They can take that gamey taste out of meat.
Yeah. Mine smelled. I mean, it didn't smell like anything after about a week in that cooler, and I just got lazy, and it just extended out. So I think it was in there. I think it was in there for 3 weeks. I kept ice on it. I thought it was going to be good to go. At 14 days or 10 days, I should have taken it out because it had no scent at all. The meat was good. I think
even a week's like that's like not as long as I leave anything in a cooler aging, especially wet aging is about a week. So I've been wanting to try dry ice. I've been wanting to try to just throw in some dry ice because it lasts longer. It still keeps it cold and everything. It also keeps crap off the meat. I was like, I don't know. I'd be curious to try that.
Well, yeah, like that's the other mistake too. Like we all have meat bags, and like not one of us brought a meat bag to like put our game in. We're like,
man, I spent like $100 on these damn Hushin meat bags.
Right.
Didn't bring any of them. Why? Because I didn't bring the other totes.
Right.
I had mine. Why am I going to use a elk-sized meat bag on this ram that'll fit in like a corner of it?
Live and learn, right? I mean, they were in the door of my truck. I could have busted mine out just as easy. I didn't even think about it.
No, my favorite thing was Dean. Whenever we went went to my dad's property and we just shot that hill country spike, thinking it was a doe. It's such a small spike.
Yeah.
But Dean busts out his game bag. I was like, dude, you need like a gallon freezer bag for this. Like the game bag's a little excessive for these two little. Each of the tenderloins were about like maybe like 12 inches long. You know,
Right.
He just busts out this game bag, and I was like, game bag's kind of empty there, man. Just like a freezer bag or something.
Yeah, I just need a sandwich Ziploc.
Game bags.
I
Man.
did. I got to use them, man. It's like I want to go out here and do a coon hunt or something, man, just to put something in it. You know,
start bagging some squirrels in the backyard.
Right? Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to do that. Just like, tune my bow down or go up like a little recurve bow that I got that's like 30 pounds and just go trying to shoot some squirrels with those small game heads. That just looks like fun, man.
Yeah. Instead of stumps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Don't need to shoot stumps. No.
Yeah.
Well, I might hit some stumps too.
So we got another funny story. If Chris doesn't mind talking about it, is his bow timing story. Just for the new listeners, what not to do in the house. It would be brilliant.
No. It's more of a cautionary tale that you're going to do some stupid crap eventually. We all have.
But this channel is to try to help you not do stupid crap.
We're all learning.
Let's start all the way at the beginning.
Yeah.
So, I show up to Dean's house right before this ram hunt, and I had put new strings on probably a month ago, and draw back, shoot at 20 yards, and I'm like 5 or 6 inches high. Well, that's a little weird. Do it again, 5 or 6 inches high again. This is not good. I shoot at 60 and I'm like 14 inches high. So my timing, I assume my timing's off, but I don't have a bow press. None of us do. We don't have any tools. I just quickly sight back in for 20, sort of sight back in at 60 and just assume that I'm going to get a 30 or 40 yard shot and it's going to be okay. So instead of just saying, hey, Dean, will you look at my timing? I think it's off. I just don't do it. We shoot the goat. I go back home. I literally have an arrow right behind me with no head on it that's 34 inches long that I use for stupid shit like this. I decided to use my regular arrow, my iron will field point, throw it on, draw back in the bathroom. I draw my shower curtain just in case I let go. It's going to get caught up in the shower curtain, right? And I'm like messing with it. Like, oh yeah, my timing is off. I mean, that's like a 1/4 inch off. And I let down, put my bow down, unpack all 47 of my totes. And I'm like, I'm going to check one more time. And I pick up my bow, knock the arrow, draw back. Like, man, that's a 1/4 inch off. And I pull it off my face just to get a better look. And I just draw down and I hammer the trigger. And I shot a giant hole in the shower, like right. I shoot. I mean, a nice like dime size hole in the tile. And it's right next to my son's room. So I'm screaming like a bunch of 4-letter words. I'm just like, what an idiot. And my wife texts me. She's like, there's a bunch of noise going on in Paxton's room. The baby monitor's going off. Are you home? Is the dog barking? Like, what's going on? It's me. I'm barking. I put a giant hole in the tile. So if you're gonna check your timing, do it with an arrow without a point.
Yeah.
Do it in front of a target. Yeah.
Yeah, in front of your friend and not in front of the mirror in your back.
That is awesome. That's a great story.
Well, I'd say we're a great tool that I've been meaning to make a video on this for a long time, but is all these phones nowadays have like amazing slow motion cameras on them, and so being able to just set that on like a tripod or rest it up against something and just go through your normal draw cycle in front of a target and go ahead and fire it and everything, you can see really easily how that works and everything. And
like,
you know,
but on a tripod like this that I
Yeah.
I could have done a whole bunch
chose not to.
smart things.
Yeah, no. And so I did a similar thing just to not let you feel left out. Was actually I've done it a couple times, and one day I'll take a picture and send it to you guys. But I was adjusting with my older bow. I was adjusting my knock point because I felt like the knock travel was weird. I was like, I just didn't. I thought something was off. So I was like, let me adjust my knock point. I moved my D loop down, or I moved it up a little bit from where it was. And I went and I drew back and got on target. And I fired that shot, but you know, the fact that I moved my knocking point, I think I moved it down is what it was. Now my bow is pointing downwards more, and so I shot it right into my toolbox. I set my target on top of my toolbox in the corner, and it's a steel toolbox, and it boom hammered right through it. I mean, I was lucky the arrow didn't break. It was I was able to pull I had to, in order to get it out of the toolbox, it was stuck inside of there, and now there's a big old hole going at an angle through one of the drawers there. But I got it out thankfully, and the arrow was technically intact. But I had to, in order to get it out of the toolbox, I had to heat up the hot melt. We were talking about this yesterday. Pull the insert and the field point out, and then I slide the arrow back out. But the only thing was wrong with it. There was a tiniest little crack right where the insert met the carbon there, and I was able to just kind of shave it down, clean it off, and I flex tested that thing like 1,000 times, and I never used that for hunting, but I did use that for target practice again, and it did fine after that. So okay. I got lucky that my arrow was just not obliterated whenever I did that. But yeah, I've done the same thing. twice into the toolbox and once into the wall behind my target. So
there might be a Easton half out inside my wall behind my target.
One day after World War III, somebody will see that, like, what was this, archaeological tool that they used?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've not shot any of the walls, but I have certainly not readjusted my sight tape and launched a few arrows from my backyard to like Oklahoma City. So who knows where those dudes are at? Like, I just watched them like fly through the air. They flew great, but they're gone.
So you don't even go look for it at that point. You're like,
no, it's a waste of time. Yeah, it's gone. Yeah, just go buy some more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, then you have to go admit to your neighbor that you accidentally almost shot their dog. So it's like,
yeah,
it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah, it's gone. Yeah, but oh well, it is what it is. It's all fun and games.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm making a little archery backdrop out of horse stall mat and some 2x4s in the next couple of days, because I have shot clean through my fence, through my neighbor's fence, and then onto the adjacent road maybe one too many times.
Supposedly. Allegedly, yeah.
Well,
just don't have custom arrow wraps with your name on it. That's the key.
Yeah, right.
I do not shoot gold tips anymore.
That's not my arrow. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah. I've never seen it.
Well, we're in a Chris doesn't live too far from me, and like I say, we're in an interesting situation where we don't really have any bow shops or any ranges close to us. The closest one's 40 minutes away or so. Or
yeah. Luckily, those guys, I've been going to West Houston Archery, which is really maybe 25 minutes from my place. It's not, maybe closer to 30, 35. It's not a terrible drive, and it's really close to the outdoor range that I go to. Those guys do a great job. But you're a little bit farther southeast of me, and yeah, you're kind of shopless.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, I had the Santa Fe Archery. It was like 15 minutes from my house, but they shut down whenever the owner passed away, older guy, and never reopened. And so I was like, well, shit, now I got to go West Houston Archery, but it's like 45 minutes from me, So it's with no traffic, it's 45 minutes from me. So, but that's where I bought my Prime inline 5. Like I say, it's a good shop. Most guys there are great guys. So, I have no problem driving there, but it's just like, now it makes it to where like, my trips to the bow shop are few and far between, because it's like I have to justify being able to drive, almost an hour there and almost an hour back, and so it just makes it hard. But the struggle's real.
That's
why we shoot.
But it makes you want to do it yourself and learn how to do it. I mean, I think a bow press is probably going to be my next, expensive purchase. I've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, but I think I got to figure out how to do it here eventually.
Yeah, I think it was Last Chance Archery's got was it the easy press or something?
Easy green, I think is
$300
or $400. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's expensive but affordable.
Yeah, I mean it's like anything else, right? Like if it's going to last you 10 years and do everything you want to do, then it's a good investment,
Yeah, I think it'll last forever. Honestly, I mean it's a manual press. I think it's just got the little wheel on it.
Mm-hmm.
I've already got a bow vise, so I can do my own serving. I can do my own D loops. I think the bow press is the next thing.
What vise do you got?
What's that?
What vise do you have?
It's also Last Chance Archery. I think it's not very expensive. Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Because there's OMP.
Those things are expensive.
That one's pricey.
Yeah.
It's like $400 just for the bow vise or something like that.
Yeah.
Their bow press is like $1,100.
Honestly.
Yeah. That's what most of the shops I've been to use. I mean, it does just fine,
Which one is it?
I think it's just the Easy Green bow vise.
Oh, okay.
So I can do all of my own serving, D-loop, very easily do all of my scope levels. I got the little Hamskea tool, make sure everything's leveled up. It's just tuning with the bow press. There's a couple things you need the bow press for, and
you
gotta learn.
What about it? Are you gonna get a draw board too, or?
There's an attachment for it. Yeah, I mean that's probably secondary to the vise and the press. But there is
that's what you need is one that'll do everything, or you can strap it in there and you can use it as a vise. You can use it as a press. You can use it as a draw board. That'd be ideal.
Yeah,
you can rig up some stuff too, but I don't know how comfortable I am doing that. Big investment that you're.
There's a lot of pressure involved in that, man. That's scary.
Yeah, exactly.
I've already put a few arrows in the wall. I don't need limbs flying into the ceiling too.
Some things are worth spending a little money on.
My wife asked me why I put an arrow on if I was just drawing back, and I said because that tile is way less expensive than that bow is.
No kid. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up, guys. I think we've been on for a little over an hour and stuff, but man, it's always good talking to you guys, and like I said, I appreciate everybody watching and tuning in, all the people commenting up there, and go check out Privilege Bow Hunter too. Awesome YouTube. We've got some great content out there. Come back and check us out tomorrow. Like I say, we are talking at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time with the guy that's the Langy from oh my God,
Buck Commander.
Buck Commander. I had the word bow stuck in my mind, and I go like boat. That's not it, but not bow. Drop from Buck Commander. Yeah, and then we got some guys here from C&E Custom Outdoors that build custom archery and outdoors equipment and do a lot of fishing stuff too. So we'll be talking to those guys at 7 p.m. So thank you guys for tuning in, and as always, keep defying the odds. And